विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगीव यस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Verse 28. अखण्डैकरसं वस्तु सच्चिदानन्दलक्षणम् इत्यविच्छिन्नचिन्तेयं समाधिर्मध्यमो भवेत्. So in these verses, beginning from the 22nd verse, the author is dealing with this topic of nididhyasanam or Vedantic meditation in form of a sixfold samadhi abhyasa. There is a Brahma abhyasa, means Brahma abhyasa is wonderful. You need not have to sit in a posture of meditation, etc., and taking care of a certain preliminary steps, etc. It is not required. But well, this is another form of a meditation where you need to sit in a certain posture of meditation, traditional form of meditation, and taking care of preliminary steps, etc., and then dwell upon the teaching of what you have heard. So of these 6 types of samadhi, there are 3 are internal and 3 are external. And in this internal samadhi, the discipline practiced by the meditator is a separating the thought and the consciousness. So thought consciousness, there is a sakshi, witness consciousness, and there is a mind, the thoughts. So that is basically that Viveka. And the Viveka is required because one is non-separate from the other, and if you don't know that you are basically witness consciousness, mind is non-separate from you, if you don't know, you take the mind as yourself. That's the thing. Where you manifest, there you take that you take as yourself. You manifest in the mind, and mind appears conscious. So you take that as yourself. Well, so that is basically, and that is to be separated, means it is to be understood through discriminatory analysis. And so this thought consciousness separation is practiced because every thought we experience internally it's a mixture of consciousness and a vritti. So because of consciousness alone, the thought is experienced. Thought itself is jadam, it cannot reveal itself to you. Nothing in the world reveals itself to you. You reveal the thing. And therefore, anyway, so a thought cannot be experienced by itself. So in the first stage, while we take the thought and consciousness together and then shift our attention from the thought to the revealer of the thought, the consciousness part, which we call as a Drsya anuviddha savikalpaka samadhi, because you take help of thought. Therefore, savikalpa samadhi, Drsya anuviddha. Here, Drsya means the thought. Thought is Drsya for witness, revealed. So Drsya anuviddha savikalpaka samadhi. Having shifted that attention to the consciousness, then we dwell upon the various features of this consciousness. Each feature is basically remembered with the help of a Shastra Vakyam. And consciousness is asangam, so, and nityam, and sarvavyapi, sarvagatam, etc., shuddham. See, these are connected words. Need not be you have to really think four features. Just just visualize the akasha, which is all pervading, and you will come across all the things. The akasha which pervades everything, right? Akasha which pervades everything is asangam automatically. That which pervades good, bad, everything is free from these good, bad attributes of the thing which is pervaded. And therefore akasha, which is basically sarvagatam, is asangam also. And not only that, akasha is nityam also. Everything appears in the space and goes. Akasha is there all the time. I mean, just relatively. So akasha is nityam also. Akasha is asangam also. And akasha is pure, shuddham, you can say. So this is the way we have to understand. Same way, consciousness is also basically which is Brahman. Ultimately, the Sakshi is Brahman, is all pervading, is also asangam. Consciousness pervades everything, and so free from the attributes of everything, and therefore consciousness is nirgunam. Consciousness is not related to anything. Which pervades in and through everything is basically not related to anything also, because it cannot relate. It pervades. Consciousness pervades in and through everything means basically other than that everything is mithya. How will it relate? Satyavastu cannot relate to mithya. How the rope relates to the snake? It is not at all related. And therefore consciousness, you pluck one feature. Well, that is from the words only. So consciousness is Brahman, Sakshi is Brahman, all pervading. What is all pervading, in and through pervading? Well, is not connected to the name and form, which is pervaded, which is pervaded, aya. And therefore asangam, shuddham. So, forms are good, bad, etc. There are, good attributes, bad attributes, so called. Consciousness which pervades in and through is basically free from these good, bad attributes, etc. So, shuddham. And consciousness which pervades in and through everything, is alone is satyam, because the form, etc., which are non-separate from that, is basically, they are mithya. So anyway, point is, this is the way you take one feature and then other features will automatically come along with. Here, of course, with respect to thoughts you are doing, then you can do with the thoughts also. Good, bad thoughts, etc. are not connected. I am not connected to the good, bad thoughts, etc. They are non-separate from me. Thoughts come and thoughts go. I am all the time there, Sakshi. So this is how shifting the attention to consciousness from the thought is Drsya anuviddham, and then dwelling on the features of the consciousness with the help of these words, Upanishadic words of the teaching, is Shabda anuviddham, Savikalpaka Samadhi. Because you are taking help of either a thought or the words. Therefore, the Vikalpa is still there. So, Vikalpa of subject-object is still there. And so it is called Shabda anuviddham. And if you take help of words, because Shabda so since so these are Savikalpaka Samadhi anyway. And this is Antara Samadhi, internal meditation, because we are segregating the thoughts and consciousness, and since thoughts are available only internally, it is Antara Samadhi. Then the author talked about the culmination of Samadhi Abhyasa. It is nothing but the absorption in that thought without requiring our conscious effort. So, because the thought continues in a subconscious mind, that state is called Nirvikalpaka Avastha, because the conscious mind is non-operational. Mind should be there. Mind is there, but the mind is not so active. So, to generate the thoughts in it. Therefore, that is basically samadhi. When the mind itself resolves into and goes to the causal state, it is a sushupti. So when mind is there, but it is not so active, not generating conscious thought, or well, say conscious mind is mind which is not conscious. Not generating the thought, subject-object thoughts basically. When the mind is conscious, it divides itself into two. One is ahankara and one is a vritti. That's what it is. The conscious mind has a two amsha. That's what we have seen also. Ahankrutihi antahkarana rupini, dvida. One is ahankara, I thought, that's a subject. And then definitely idam vritti also will arise, this subject object. So basically when subject-object division is very clear, then well definitely it is a conscious mind, we say. And that is called a waking state. But here basically when you are taking help of a words and also when you are aware of the thoughts, etc. So when in that case definitely objects are there, and therefore it is savikalpaka samadhi. But then after some time, well, the culmination of this samadhi abhyasa basically is nothing but the absorption in that thought without requiring our conscious effort. So since the thought continues in the subconscious mind, that state is called nirvikalpaka samadhi. Conscious mind is non-operational. Subject-object division is there. Subject-object division is there, but you don't feel the subject-object division. That's what it is. So that kind of a thing. Well, in that state, the ego or I is basically dormant, because ego operation requires a conscious, deliberate mind. So internal meditation, well, definitely leads to internal samadhi, which is called antara nirvikalpaka samadhi. Now, after talking about this internal meditation, author now comes to external meditation, bahya samadhi. That is also of three types. So in internal meditation, I am separating thought and consciousness, whereas in external meditation, I am separating an object and existence. So in the internal meditation, well, it is thought and consciousness, and in the external version, it is object and the existence. Its own version. Consciousness is existence, basically. And thought is always pertaining to the external object, let us say. Take it that way. So definitely, outside it is existence, inside it is consciousness. Consciousness alone is existence. Consciousness alone is existence. Why? Because the consciousness is an invariable thing. Throughout the life, consciousness is an invariable factor. In all the three states of experiences, either a waking state, either a dream state, either a deep sleep state, consciousness continues. The witness consciousness continues. Whatever may be the state of the ahankara mind, consciousness continues. Ahankara resolved is illumined by the consciousness. Ahankara shines whether ahankara functions partially, ahankara functions fully, waking state, partially functioning dream state. All this is revealed by consciousness. The ahankara shines in consciousness. That's what I thought, shines in consciousness. So basically consciousness alone continues. So therefore consciousness is an invariable factor. Ahankara and the world, etc. is a variable factor. So therefore basically even time shines in consciousness, and therefore consciousness is the only thing which is ever existent. Therefore it is called Sat. And therefore consciousness alone is an existence, and the existence is consciousness. But anyway, externally you cannot meditate on consciousness. What you objectify is basically is a non-self. And it is not a conscious, you cannot objectify consciousness. You can maximum objectify the mind of a person, body of the person, etc. Or you can appreciate the same consciousness as existence outside. And that the way consciousness is indivisible, no, Swamiji, consciousness has a division. Suppose that you maybe knowing all these things. Consciousness is has a division. How will you know? If consciousness has a division, it should be an object of your knowledge. Then only you can say it has a division. If it is an object of knowledge, it is not a consciousness. So consciousness is not available for objectification, and therefore consciousness has no division also. Consciousness is one without second, which is akhandam, indivisible. Same way existence also is indivisible. Same way. So existence also is indivisible. So you can take an example of two objects, like take example of two clips. Internally there is clip thought, and that clip thought is illumined by consciousness, and that illumined by conscious, basically what clip thought does one function. Clip thought borrows consciousness from Sakshi, and then borrowing that consciousness by the clip thought is nothing but Chidabhasa. That's what it is. That is Chidabhasa. So clip thought has now Chidabhasa, we can say, and therefore it becomes clip jnanam, clip perception, etc., clip cognition, you can say. Anyway, so inside it is clip thought and consciousness, of course, whereas externally it is clip object present along with isness or existence. So here also, in Antara Samadhi, here also my first attempt is shifting the attention from the clip to the existence. Inside I was shifting from thought to the consciousness, because the thought is non-separate from consciousness. You need not have to do anything. You just visualize a thought. Well, it is illumined, and therefore you now shift your attention from the thought to the illuminator of the thought, Sakshi, etc. Same way here, take an object, and from object, well, you shift your attention to the existence. That object is non-separate from existence. Naturally. So when you say clip, means clip is. So existence is very much there. So from clip you shift your attention to the existence, which we call Drsya Anuvidya Bahya Savikalpaka Samadhi. And this shifting is so called because for this shift I am making use of an object as a stepping stone. Once the attention is shifted to existence from the object, then I dwell upon that existence by seeing various features of the existence. To dwell upon the various features, well, you use Shastra words. Shastra words are used for dwelling upon the existence. So it is called Shabda Anuvidya Savikalpaka Samadhi. You can say now what you apply to the consciousness, you apply to directly without worrying. This Sat is Akhandam. Sat, existence, is Akhandam. Right? Chit I was saying as Akhandam. Chit I was saying as a Brahman, Sarvavyapi. Chit I was saying as Asangam. Chit I was saying as a Nityam. Same you can start. But Swamiji, for Sat I don't find. You need not, because Sat, Chit alone is Sat. And therefore you start applying. And you will find it is there. Sat is Akhandam. Sat is indivisible. How can you say Sat is indivisible? Take one clip and the other clip. Clip is, and this clip is, well, you find the existence is pervading this particular form. Existence is pervading this form. And therefore, well, definitely the existence also is divisible. Forms are divisible, limited. Well, clear, the existence also is divisible. Clip is. In between also is. And therefore, space is. And therefore, definitely, any form cannot divide existence. In fact, form appears in existence and resolves in existence, right? So basically existence is indivisible. You can say Akhandam. Existence is indivisible. Form cannot threaten the existence, right? Form cannot threaten. Form appears in the way inside you are doing what? Thought appears in consciousness, rises in consciousness. That's what we said in Panchadashi. When thought rises, the Chidabhasa rises, etc. Anyway, but point is, so thought rises, well, the consciousness rises as a form of Chidabhasa. So, and thought resolves in consciousness. Before thought, consciousness was there. Where the thought is, consciousness is. Thought resolves, consciousness is. Consciousness is Akhandam. Thought arises in that. Consciousness is Nityam, you can say even. Thoughts are variable, consciousness is invariable, etc., etc. Even the thought concept of time arises in consciousness, that is in form of thought. Yeah. So therefore, everything arises in consciousness, resolves in consciousness. Before a thought arises, consciousness was. Now when the thought is, consciousness is. Thought resolves, consciousness is. Same way here. Form arises in existence. Form resolves in existence, and therefore existence ever is indivisible. Form cannot divide existence, because in between the two forms also there is a existence. So the clip is, but in between space is. Anyway, so basically isness cannot be divided. So same things you can take, because ultimately there are no two features of a, there are two features of the consciousness. One is existence, one is consciousness. No. Consciousness is existence. Consciousness is ever existent. Consciousness is a being. Only being in the world is consciousness. Therefore, there is no other being. No, nothing has a beingness, existence. So this is a way to take it. So some people say, well, Shabda Anu with the Savikalpak Samadhi for existence. I am searching for the words, features in the Shastra for existence. Same thing. Akhandam, Nityam. And Sarvavapi existence is pervading everything, including space. Space, wherever the space is, consciousness, existence is, because you say space is. So existence pervades space, existence pervades whatever is there in the space, everything. Existence is indivisible, sarvavapi, sarvagatam, nityam. Everything is, same thing you can apply for that. So difference between present, previous and the present, well, previous means this Drsya anuvidya and Shabda anuvidya, Bahya Savikalpa Samadhi, is that the previous one, here it was in form of a, you focus on the form and then goes to the existence. That is Drsya anuvidya, Bahya Savikalpa Samadhi. And then features of the existence now you concentrate upon, you meditate upon, Well, that becomes a Shabda anuvidya, Bahya Savikalpa Samadhi. That's how it is. And so this is how Sat is Chit, Chit is Sat, and therefore nothing to worry. But outside you cannot say, consciousness is indivisible. Like doing this by objectifying consciousness and then thinking of the various features of the consciousness externally is not possible. Because that's the only thing not available for objectification. Everything is available for objectification to the consciousness. Consciousness is not available to the objectification. Everything, that's how I said, everything is evident to the consciousness. Consciousness is self-evident. It doesn't require to be objectified by any pramana. And that is how it is self-evident. Self-evident, self-shining, you can say. Anyway, everything is other than consciousness is jadam. And jadam definitely is not self-evident. It cannot reveal itself. Therefore, it is to be revealed by the consciousness. Therefore, that is jadam, that is anutram. Consciousness alone is satyam. Kalam, etc. also is jadam. Kalam also shines through consciousness. When you say time, time consciousness, of course. Anyway, so this is how even Bahya Savikalpaka Samadhi also can be done. Drishyam and Shabdanuviddham. Verse 29. Stabdhi bhavo rasa svadat trutiyah purvamanmatah etair samadhibhis shadbhihi nayet kalam nirantaram. So what is this Nirvikalpa Samadhi now? Bhakya Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Anyway, that is. So when the conscious mind deliberately entertains this, say, thought flow regarding existence and also sees the, also sees the identity with the existence as, you can very well say I am existence. Instead of saying I am consciousness, you can say very well I am existence. Because Samadhi means absorption. Absorption means mind. Of course pertaining to the external thing, but ultimately it is in the mind. And therefore, while you now claim I am an existence, I am Sat. So, if you identify with the existence pervading the external world, now seeing visualizing existence as the very truth in the entire creation, in pervading all the forms, etc. Well, then your subconscious mind ultimately, this was through conscious mind. Savikalpa Samadhi, Drsya and Shabda Anuvidya. So if you continue that I am that existence which is indivisible, which is Nityam, etc., which is all pervading, pervading even the space, etc., then if you continue, then the subconscious mind also picks up the same thought, entertains this thought. If you with the conscious mind, if you do this, and therefore, and after that, the conscious effort or the will of the meditator is not required. This happens, this kind of thing happens even in a pertaining not to good thoughts, even into the bad thoughts also, especially a thought of a worry. Most of the people gets absorbed in worry. You can see even from the face. The other people can say his eyes are open and staring a particular thing, but they are not really seeing the things. That is a state of absorption. Absorption, samadhi in worry. They start consciously. In fact, to be honest with you, there is no negative thought reaction, including the worry, arises with a conscious effort. Never arises. It just starts without your will. And the person is totally absorbed in that also. Within no time gets absorbed. Because if anything without will comes, especially all the reactions, etc., come without the will or effort on the part of the person. And therefore, when it starts automatically, then the person gets absorbed also. The one who worries and the object of worry become one. Really speaking, the person has no this kind of, he's not conscious that I'm really right now worrying. Only somebody comes and tells, what are you doing? What are you seeing? Then he comes out. And then he basically recollects that he was worrying. If you recollect at the time of worrying, you don't know. Afterwards you recollect. That shows a samadhi. Recollection comes later. You are not conscious at the time of worrying. Getting absorbed in the worry. Well, that subject-object division is not there, even in the worry. That's why it can especially other things I can't say like that. But worry is something which person just gets merged into within no time. He gets merged into. He even forgets that he is worrying also. Means subject-object division is not there. Very, very nice example given by the here Acharya. So, here this also, well, if you consciously think, well, consciously meditate on Drsya Anuvidya or Savikalpa Samadhi or Shabda Anuvidya, well, definitely, basically Shabda Anuvidya later, Drsya Anuvidya beginning. Drsya Anuvidya, you are consciously seeing a form and appreciating existence, seeing a form, appreciating existence. And now you switch over to the words related to the existence in the Shastra. And so same words, Akhandam, Nityam, etc., Sarvagatam. All these words now you, and the meaning of that you see pertaining to the existence. And then you get absorbed into that. When you get absorbed into that, well, your will, effort, etc. is not required. So at a subconscious level, the thoughts continue. At a conscious level, if anything continues, means you are aware of what you are meditating upon, and you are a meditator. That awareness also is there, but that is not there. And therefore, at subconscious level, it continues. This is called samadhi. So, this subject of a division is not absent, however, but to fill the division, you require a conscious mind. So naturally, the thought that is happening in the subconscious mind is, we call it as a sukshma vritti. We are not aware of that vritti when it is happening. And they give another example of a sleep also, that in sleep also there is a nirvikalpaka state in which subject of a division is not felt, but still the vrittis are there. And so what is the vritti? Ajnana vritti is there, naturally, because Ajnanam is a vishaya of the vritti. I am not experiencing anything, that experience is there very much. And so, or I am experiencing blankness, I am experiencing ignorance. etc. That these vrittis are, of course, very subtle, because they are, mind has resolved, the conscious mind has definitely resolved in a deep sleep state. And therefore, where it resolved in that causal state, these are the vritti. So we can call it as a vidya vritti, we can call it as a nidra vritti, etc. We can call it as a karana sharira vritti. Anyway, so basically, how does then we know that vritti is basically present in sleep? Because after waking up, I am able to recollect that I did not have any experience in the sleep. So, absence of any particular experience is an experience in a deep sleep state. And therefore, well, that is registered in the subconscious mind. Any experience definitely presupposes a vritti. So, in a deep sleep state also, if there is a vritti, but I am not conscious of, so it is a subtle vritti. Here it is a avidya vritti, because causal body is much subtler than even the subtle body, because it's a cause. And therefore, causal body, the vritti arises in the causal body, naturally experiencing in causal body, that is ignorance. And therefore, and that you can even, Swamiji, whether causal body is there or not, somebody asks. Well, you just start thinking like this. Here, right now, like I am conscious of the world, I am conscious of the body, I am conscious of the mind, I am conscious of the emotion, I am conscious of my memory, I am conscious of the pranas, I am conscious of hunger, I am conscious of thirst, I am conscious of my knowledge, I am conscious, like that you continue, right? Then after you say I am conscious of this everything, now you are conscious of what? I am conscious of nothing. You have to say. Ultimately, everything goes back to, resolves to the blankness. Ultimately comes blankness. That is what Karana Sharira is. That is what Karana Sharira is. Whole thing resolves at the time of deep sleep. Where? Blankness. So that blankness you can experience. This is resolved into this is resolved into this. Ultimately you are conscious of what? Oh, I am conscious of nothing. Or I am conscious of blankness now. Well, that's Karana Sharira, if you want to say. That is what Karana Sharira is. It's unmanifest. Everything will be there, but will not be available for your perception. That's a Karana. Everything will be, the pot will be there in the clay, in unmanifest, but it will not be available for experience. The whole bird will be there in an egg, but will not be able for a perception. The whole tree will be there in a seed, but not available for perception. So basically, Karana is something which is where everything resolves and not available for your perception. That's what it is. And therefore people will ask about Karana Sharira. So I said, this is how you can do. The whole gross body is available for a objectification by you. You are conscious of your body, that's object, etc. And the senses and the mind and your emotions and your memory, your knowledge, your hunger, thirst, all are available for objectification. You can say, I am conscious of, I am conscious of, I am conscious of. Now what? After you become conscious of a gross body, subtle body, now you are conscious of what? Nothing, Swamiji. You are conscious of nothing, blank. Blank. That is Karana Sharira. Okay? That is where in a deep sleep state everything resolves. Everything is under the blanket of blankness. A blanket of blankness. Blanket of ignorance. Yeah. Like all the objects are there because why you are discussing Karana Sharira? Because Karana Sharira is something, let me tell you very frankly, regarding Karana Sharira, maximum doubts are there. Even in the Vedantins who are studying since several years. Several years, believe me. In Satsanga, I invariably get a question of a Karana Sharira. The people who are very senior. But Swamiji, why it is like that? Because Karana Sharira is like that. Therefore, Karana Sharira, because it's not available for your objectification, because it's not manifest. Anything which is not manifest, in unmanifest condition, there will be a question always. What is there? What is there inside will be always there. Anything which is unmanifest is subject to the great doubts. So in a tree, in the seed also, the whole tree is there, not available. So I was giving you an example of a dark room. All the objects are there. Sofa is there, this is there, that is there. Not the room is empty, but not available for perception under the blankness, under the blanket of darkness. Not available. Exactly this happens in a deep sleep state. Everything is there. Subject, object, both are there. Not available for your perception. You won't feel. Same thing happens in samadhi also. Subject, object division is there, but resolves. So you won't feel because of your absorption into the object. Once you are absorbed into the object, that subject object division will not remain. So this is a subconscious mind. Well, basically this thoughts continue pertaining to the self, etc. Anyway, so as in the case of only difference in, I told you also, I just reminding you. So in a deep sleep state, well, as I said, you have a vritti in a karana sharira vritti, that is avidya vritti. Here in a samadhi there is a vritti, subtle vritti, but it is not a vidya vritti because mind has not resolved into its causal state. Therefore, it is not a vidya vritti or karana sharira vritti. Mind is very much there, but its subconscious mind, we can say here a sukshma vritti, that is a vidya vritti here, jnana vritti, that continues. But you are not able to appreciate it at that time. When you come out of samadhi, while you appreciate that this I enjoyed, I am like this, I could see there that I am like this, I am like this, I am like this, etc. etc. So this is the thing. The way you recollect, once you come out of a sushupti, you recollect everything, that you experience blankness, you experience happiness, etc. in a deep sleep state, means you had an experience of a blankness, you had an experience of happiness, reveals that there was a vritti. Experience cannot take place without vritti, but that is causal vritti, causal body vritti or avidya vritti, let us say. So that vritti was there, therefore experience takes place, but you are not conscious of. Only you will be able to recollect when you wake up, when you become conscious of. Same way here, when you come out of a samadhi, you will appreciate that you really saw yourself as a khandam, etc. etc. So nirvikalpa samadhi is a state of absorption in which this Vedantic thought continues in a subtle form. That's how we call vidya vritti, naturally. As in internal meditation, in the external meditation also, the culmination is the nirvikalpa samadhi. After two savikalpaka samadhi. First is a drsya, second is a shabdanuvidya, and then the shabdanuvidya alone results into nirvikalpa samadhi. We'll see that. That are 2-3 points regarding nirvikalpa samadhi. We'll see. I will clarify at the end that it is not a will based. Nirvikalpa samadhi cannot take place with a will. It's just a culmination of a savikalpa only. And as we discussed also, that mind has a capacity to get absorbed into anything, any object, where subject-object division gets resolved. The division is there, but you won't feel when the mind gets absorbed into that. So that natural absorption of the mind, basically, of this I am existence, which is indivisible, etc., takes place because of the enjoyment of this Vedantic meditation. So now here, rasasvada and stabdi bhavaha. Stabdi bhavaha rasasvadat tritiya purvaman mataha. Tritiya means this nirvikalpa samadhi. So, previous, when you start meditating, and if you practice for some time, you start enjoying even savikalpa samadhi also. You enjoy. And due to that enjoyment only person continues. Yeah. If you don't enjoy even a Savikalpa Samadhi, you will not continue. But you start enjoying. And well, in that case, later also, Trutiya means the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which automatically takes place, mind gets absorbed. Then definitely Ananda will be there. So here it says, the words Rasa Swada and Stabdi Bhava, they are used here. Actually, these two words are, in some other context, they are have a totally different connotation, negative connotation. And that is in the Mandukya Karika. So in Mandukya Karika, when the Gaudapada Acharyaji talked about, he used the word Kashaya for Stabdi Bhava, and he has used word Rasaha also. Na swadam rasayet tatra, etc., he said in Karika. So there he said Rasaswada means experiencing the Ananda in meditation. Is given, it is an obstacle to the meditation. In this verse, author says here the absorption is caused because of the enjoyment of the Ananda. Ananda is a cause for Nirvikalpa Samadhi. You get absorbed. Mind gets absorbed into something where the mind finds a joy. That's how people get absorbed in reading also. People get absorbed. They have no awareness of time, place, or even they are the readers and right now they are reading, that awareness also goes away. Only the subject matter, Sherlock Holmes, remains. So especially detective stories are something which really, you get absorbed into that because so you are getting joy. So Ananda is a cause of a Nirvikalpa Samadhi, getting absorbed. That is said here. Now, which one is correct? There it is said, this experiencing Ananda in the meditation, when it comes, then, well, that's an obstacle. So don't then hang over there. Go ahead. Gaudapada Acharyaji says. So Rasaswada, there it is a obstacle. Here Rasaswada is basically a cause for the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So that's a different. So anyway, word Rasa has a two different meaning. So Ananda is divided into two. Raso Vaisaha Rasagga Hyevayan Labdvanandi Bhavati Saha Rasa Sarupaha Ananda Sarupaha. That is Atma is Ananda Sarupaha, Rasa Sarupa. That is one meaning. And Rasa comes from the Vishaya also. Yeah. Rasa comes from Vishaya Rasa. So that is a Pratibimba Ananda. That is a Pratibimba. Because there is what happens is actually, you had a desire of an object, sense object. And you got that sense object. As you got the sense object, well, the desire dropped. The desire dropped, that vritti is a Shanta vritti. Yeah. That was a Vikshepa. Desire was a Vikshepa. So that desire got fulfilled. So your mind has a vritti which is Shanta vritti. In that Shanta vritti, this Atma alone gets reflected nicely. And so, that is a vrittistha Ananda. So, sense objects give pleasure means it is a vrittistha Ananda. This is temporary, of course. But anyway, that's a Pratibimba Ananda, you can say, reflected Ananda in the vritti. And which vritti? That Shanta vritti. Yeah, that Shanta vritti with that clear reflection of Atma or Ananda is called Sukha vritti also. Sukhakara vritti. So we should remember this. Sukhakara vritti. Anyway, which we call as a experiential Ananda also. Ananda through the experience of sense objects. And that happens only, as I said you, as a result of the quietude in the meditation, as I showed you, Shantavritti. Even this is really, when you experience a desired object, but suppose your mind doesn't have that, cannot generate the Shantavritti, has some kind of a Vikshepa, you won't get Ananda. You won't get Ananda. And therefore, basically, experiential Ananda and Sarupa Ananda, of course, both for that we can use the word Rasa. Rasa means Ananda. So, when Gaudapadacharya refers to Rasaswada as an experiential Ananda, so there it is definitely experience of a meditation, which itself generates a Shanta Vritti, and definitely then there is a Pratibimbananda in the Vritti, because the reflection will be clear when there is a Vritti is a Shanta, clear. And so therefore you experience Ananda there. That experiential Ananda is an obstacle. So he says, Rasa nasvadam rasayet tatra, he said. Tatra, in that meditation, you should not basically asvadayet, well, enjoy. Asvadayet means you should not enjoy that Ananda, with Pratibimba Ananda, experiential Ananda. Experience of meditation itself gives you joy. This happens for many things. Some people say, when Swamiji, I was doing Vishnu Sahasranam, I enjoyed. Some people say, when I was doing puja, I just enjoyed. After puja is over, I enjoyed the puja. See, this is all experiential Ananda. We should remember this. So you do something relating to Ishvara, you may enjoy. Like some people enjoy japa. So, some people enjoy japa. Doing japa itself gives you Ananda. We feel, well, this Ananda which you because it goes away. It just goes away. When you get up, it goes away. Please understand this. Rasa is very... So anyway, so this all experiential Ananda, and one that becomes an obstacle. That becomes an obstacle because your mind gets stuck into that. Mind gets absorbed into that. No. You should go ahead. Basically, japa also we do for the sake of to appreciate what is there in the gap between the two successive japa thoughts, right? And therefore, but anyway, point is, so there it is an obstacle in Mandukya. But here, well, we are doing Niridhyasanam, Samadhi Abhyasa Niridhyasanam, and we have taken help of a Drsya Anuvidya and Shabda Anuvidya. And so now thoughts are absorbed in the self, which is like Akhandam, etc., etc. So here that Ananda comes is a Ananda of the self, and therefore Swarup Ananda. And therefore it says here it is a welcome thing. Where, so you, exactly like Sushupti, there you enjoy, right? In Sushupti you enjoy. But when you come out, then you will appreciate or you recollect that experience. Same way, when you come out of Samadhi, you will appreciate that I am a Ananda Sarupa, which I definitely experience in the Samadhi. Because there is nothing else. Samadhi, absorption in the thoughts pertaining to the self occurs only after doing a Savikalpaka Samadhi, Drsya and Shabda, for some time, right? And therefore, here you will not say, well, I have experienced Ananda. You will say, I am Ananda. Therefore, here Rasaswada is in Nirvikalpa Samadhi is a welcome thing. There Rasaswada in a Mandukya Karika and Vedanta, in Mandukya Karika, it is basically a obstacle. And then word Stabdi Bhava is there. And its synonym is a Kashaya, basically. Kashaya is Vedanta Sara and Mandukya Karika, well, basically, they use this word Kashaya, which is an obstacle to the meditation. And here it is called Stabdi Bhava. And that Stabdi Bhava is a favorable for meditation. There Stabdi Bhava or Kashaya, they call there, in Vedanta Sara and Mandukya Karika, that is a obstacle. So Stabdi Bhava or Kashaya in Vedanta Sara and Mandukya Karika is to indicate the stunning or the immobilization of the mind because of the impurities in subconscious mind. That's actually it's a tamoguna. When tamoguna manifests, well, the mind is not able to think anything. A mind as though becomes like a jada. Tamoguna represents jadyam, inertness. So the mind is basically conscious, right? But it as though become like a stone kind of thing. It doesn't think at all. Jadyam is as though manifest. Inertness, inertia. So that Stabdi Bhava, Kashaya they call there, is basically it's an obstacle. No Vedantic meditation is without thoughts. That is where we differ from yogis. Yogi chitta vritti nirodha. Make the mind inert, stone. Hey? we basically, we don't say that. In our Nirvikalpa Samadhi also thoughts are there, but of course we are not conscious of thoughts pertaining to the self. They are there. Anyway, my point is, so this kashaya there, it's of course a sabdi bhava is a impurity. Actually, it's an obstacle. I mean, due to that, well, you have an inability to concentrate in Vedantic meditation. And in that state, well, there is no Atma Karvritti, naturally. Mind is stunned. So this state is pointed out as an obstacle for meditation in Vedanta Sara or Mandukya Karika. Here, Stabdivava means absorption of the mind. There it is immobilization of the mind. So immobilization means it is not able to think. Well, then it is obstacle. Here, Stabdivava means an absorption of the mind in the Vedantic thoughts alone. While remaining immobilized or not getting distracted in other worldly thoughts. It remains only in the thoughts pertaining to the self. Then it is welcomed. So here Stabdibhava is a welcome thing. There Stabdibhava is not, mind was not able to move at all, not able to even think regarding Atma at all. Well, then it's an obstacle. There it is not told Stabdibhava, there it is told Kashaya. Anyway, with this verse, author concludes a description of this sixfold samadhi. And samadhi abhyasa, nidhyasana, sixfold. And 3 internal, 3 external. What is 3 internal? Drsya anuvidya savikalpa antar samadhi. Shabda anuvidya antara savikalpaka samadhi. And antar nirvikalpaka samadhi. And here now, Drsya anuvidya bakhya savikalpaka samadhi. Shabda anuvidya bakhya savikalpaka samadhi. And bakhya nirvikalpaka samadhi, etc. So basically, 6 samadhis have been discussed here between, it has started from verse 22 onwards. For what it started? Well, it is started for something else. Yeah. To the extent that perhaps one need not do if one has something. One need not do all this. But if it is not there, then you do this in order to make effective that. What is this and that? We'll discuss. So author advises basically that one should be engaged in samadhi abhyasa continuously until it becomes a sahaja, meaning that this Vedantic thought should be there. That's what I say, Brahmabhyasa is the thing. Brahmabhyasa alone is the thing. Why you have a partiality for Brahmabhyasa? Because tat chintanam, tat kathanam, anyonyam, tat prabodhanam. This samadhi requires to sit in a traditional form of meditation. Means it is a time. It is limited in at a particular time. You have to do this. Whereas here you need to do ultimately to get abidance in the self. You have to constantly think. Constantly. So even this samadhi abhyasa sixfold should become sahaja. Sahaja means all the time these Vedantic thoughts are there behind in your mind and in your worldly transaction. Who is this doing worldly transaction? Oh, Ahankara is doing worldly transaction. Yeah? Ahankara is doing. Ahankara is something which is a function of the mind. Which is mind. Conscious mind. It's doing. All the 3 states, first say this. All the 3 states pertaining to the mind. Sakshi has no state. All the 3 states of experiences are states of mind. Fully active mind, Jagrata Avastha. And also, Ahankara also is there, we call Vikshva, where the Ahankara pervades senses and when the gross body making it sentient. It's a state of a mind. partially active mind, partially active ahankara, and generating the internal world, etc., through the vasanas in the mind. That's what the partial activity of the mind is. Partial activity of the mind means it generates from chittam, from its own storage. Some vasanas manifest, depending upon karma, of course, and generate the internal world and experience. That's also mind. All subject object is mind. Then mind resolves, becomes inactive, goes to the causal state. That's a sushupti. That's ahankara is totally inactive. So that state of experience called deep sleep state also is a mind. Sakshi has nothing to do with avastha. Sakshi has nothing to do with the waking state, dream state, or a deep sleep state. Totally unconnected. Why unconnected? Connected to the mind. We have already seen the mind and consciousness, the Sakshi. What is the relationship? We have already seen. That relation, Bhrantijam. Bhranti. I am connected to the mind is a Bhranti. Consciousness is not connected, asangam. Everything is, which is an object of consciousness is mithya. And therefore mind is mithya. So I have no states of experiences. Sakshi has nothing to do. Only thing is Sakshi being self-shining. While everything gets illumined in its presence, everything becomes conscious and experiencing external world or internal world, etc. Ahankara becomes a conscious entity. Ahankara rises and resolves. The waker goes away and resolves, and the dreamer comes and resolves in Sakshi. The deep sleeper arises and resolves in Sakshi. I am the one who has nothing to do with this three avastha. I am avasthatraya vilakshana satchidananda atma. This is the thing. And therefore, in a waking state, while you are transacting, that transacting is a basically transactor ahankara, the waker. And therefore, waker is just my role, you can say. I have nothing to do with this waker also, but waker shines in my presence, the waker exists in my presence. And therefore, waker has various roles to play in a waking state. And I am the Sakshi, well, self-illuminating Sakshi, well, in presence of which, this waker does all functions. And therefore, I am not a waker. I am not a father. Waker means then you have to come ahead. Yeah, I am not a waker. That is not a criteria. Sahaja Samadhi is this. Sahaja Samadhi means you are constantly thinking, you are constantly separating yourself, the witness consciousness and ahankara. That's it. The ultimate Viveka is a Viveka between ahankara and Sakshi. Because you take yourself as ahankara, especially in a waking state. You take yourself as a waker first, that's a bottom line. And then you say, I am a father, I am a mother, I am a this, I am that. And you literally think that you are a father. That's the reality of me. I am a mother, you think that you are a mother. Or I am a husband, I am a son, and this, that. All are just roles. I am free from all the roles. They keep shifting, they are variable. That's how it is role. Role is something which is variable thing. Actor is not variable, actor is invariable. And therefore, one role goes, another role. The role and the actor are always together. Where the role is, there the actor is. Where the beggar is, there the actor is. In fact, when the beggar speaks, actor speaks. When the beggar cries, actor cries. Understand that. No another actor which is connected and put with some glue. And well, so in front there is a beggar and in behind there is a actor. Ah, B is A. Therefore the role arises here only. But that is pertaining to Ahankara alone. I am free from all the roles. A is not B. I am free from all the roles. You have to, if you continue in a waking state like this, well, definitely it is called Sahaja Samadhi. You need not do all this. All sixfold, they are meant for academic purpose. Okay? Academic purpose. People were thinking, when will I do all this Nirvikalpa? You have not to do. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is a Samadhi which is not to be done. It's an automatic, it's a result of your Savikalpa. That's it. Savikalpa, you need a conscious mind, a subject-object division, etc. is there, will is involved, effort is there, everything is there. Nirvikalpaka is just an absorption in that state anyway. So, basically, Sahaja. So, and these Vedantic thoughts are there behind all the time, through all the worldly transactions. Anyway, so this is this what even Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, Pashyan, Shurnan, Sprashan, Jigran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Swasan, Pralapan, Unmishan, Nimishan, right? Naiva Kinchit Karomiti, Yukto Manyeta Tattvit. Yukta, I am the one who is together. Manyeta Tattvit. Tattvit means who knows the truth. Manyeta, thinks. I Naiva Kinchit Karomi. Oh, but I am doing a lot. I am taking care of my children. I am bringing them up. Who is doing? Who is doing? Consciousness is doing. Conscious being is doing. In fact, to be honest with you, even we need not have to go to consciousness. The conscious being is actor. Mother is doing. One conscious being who is a basic person assumes the role of a mother and then assumes the role of a sister, assumes the role of a daughter, assumes the role of this. One conscious being. We go one step further. The conscious being is nothing but basically consciousness, limitless consciousness, which is the only being, etc., etc. Anyway, point is this kind of a constant thinking, constantly negating the ahankara, will give you an abidance into the self. Ahankara is the obstacle in your assimilation of knowledge. And therefore, if you are able to do this Sahaja Samadhi, doing a Viveka between Ahankara and Sakshi, well, then assimilation is very, very easy. You need not do all this. But if you are not able to do this so that that Vedantic thought will remain in your mind constantly. One or two points are there. We'll discuss next time. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.